Uh-huh. Look at that.
Look at
Apparently we're
that.
live. I got the little live little dude there.
We're
You
good
know,
to
I
go.
I I,
Go.
I think we are, man. So let's do this thing, yeah. So what's up, everybody? Welcome to Talkin Motorbikes. I'm Dustin Coiner, and I'm on tonight with that old cycling coach guy.
Yeah, that's it. Hey, I got 500 miles in this month.
Oh, dude, you got
So
more than I did. I was sick and like whatever. That
yeah, well,
yeah,
2.5 months with my new knee, and I got 500 miles
yeah.
in this month, all indoor. I'm happy. The knee thing's going really well, but honestly, dude, it's work. The PT's work,
Yeah, does
but
it
yeah, it's
make you
going well.
cry? The PT doesn't work really unless it makes you cry.
You were spot on because
Yeah.
you can be a freaking lazy ass, right? And
Yeah.
that's the thing. So you can be a lazy
Yeah.
ass, but if you want improvement, you got to
Yeah.
shut the f up and freaking get after it. That's
Well,
all there is to it.
like I mean, I have this story about a friend of mine. He was like an old AFM #1 guy, and then he came back out and raced CVMA, like when CVMA first kind of started. And Walt Nitto. And
Yeah,
Walt was this dude that he had the knee thing, and I don't know. I guess the Pete dude, he was telling me I talked to him that Sunday night, and he was just like, "Dude, it hurts so bad," like he wouldn't shut the fuck up about how much it hurt. So I suspected he wasn't really doing the PT that he should have, and a blood clot got him.
yeah. So
I
I mean,
mean, yeesh.
I really spent a lot of time on the post op stuff, right? So making sure that on the blood clot stuff, I had compression pants, taking the right aspirin, blah blah blah. Anyway, but the cycling's actually really good for that because you're getting blood flow.
Yeah,
So anyway, yeah, we can. I don't want to talk about my knee; it's boring. But
yeah,
basically, you're right. I got to shut the fuck up and do my PT, otherwise, I'm
yeah,
not going to
dude.
get better. So
Yep,
that's all there is to it.
right on, man. Yeah, so
There's
dude,
so
there's
much.
like
Holy
okay,
crap.
so everybody knows that this show has no agenda or whatever, but there's so much stuff. Like the World Superbike testing and Bulaga just like ruining, like mushroom printing everybody, right?
Correct.
And dude, it looks like I mean Johnny Ray's fat, Top Brack is fast on the BMW. Fucking everybody's fast.
Yeah.
Bautista, I don't know what's going on here. Like I don't know if he had like an off
Yeah.
season thing.
Yeah. No, he's still claiming injury. He's still claiming injury issues, and the bike's not working with the added weight.
Uh,
But it's working for other guys, so we'll see how that goes. But yeah, I mean, we can talk. I mean, all World Superbike, MotoAmerica,
dude,
MotoGP,
MotoAmerica,
right?
like yeah, JD Beach ride a
MotoAmerica's off in
BMW.
MotoGP. We
Like
got Sepang,
what?
we had the test starting, so
Yeah.
there's a lot happening. So again,
Where do you want to go, dude? Just wing it,
we have no
bro.
agenda. I'll just
Well, really
you just
quick, I gotta thank Josh Merrill for going over here and making me the track map, 3D printing the new Button Willow track map.
what? That's pretty
Thanks, Josh
cool.
Merrill. I don't know what team he's working for now, but he's been around. That dude gets around,
That's awesome.
right?
That's awesome. Yeah, these are great. We appreciate everybody. There's no agenda. We have no idea what the hell we're going to say. Destin's going to ask me questions. I'll ask him questions, and we're just going to get after it.
Right
So
on. So,
go for it. What are we talking
all
about?
right, let's talk about the first thing I want to talk about. Obviously, is the recent passing of my hero Anthony Gobert. The Go Show. So
Yeah,
everybody has a Go Show story, and I know you just talked to a homie of ours, so like, just let it go, dude.
So yeah, I mean, I was around back in the paddock when he was like on the factory Yamaha team. I only talked to him a couple times. It was just in passing, but you just always what a larger than life figure. And it's funny. Yeah, I had a conversation with Scott Russell today. Scott and I check in a little bit, and he's got some knee problems, so he's interested in how my knee thing is, how my knee is doing. But then I asked him, I said, Scotty, I know you've told me one Go Show story. Do you have any other Gobert stories? And he goes, I don't really have that many. So yeah, he's got a couple of good ones. I can fire them off if you're ready.
Yeah, dude.
So the first one was, when Scott was battling for the World Superbike Championship, and it was at Phillip Island. And they brought Gobert in on the Kawasaki as well. Scotty was on the Kawasaki, and they brought Gobert in to basically run interference with Scott. And Scott didn't have the pace that day. And Scott's doing everything. And basically he said that every lap, Scott's got his tongue hanging out. And every lap he'd look back and Gobert was literally 1 inch off of him. Just everywhere he was, Gobert was right there. And Scott's just like, what the hell? And so finally Scott's like, I don't have it today. So he waved Gobert by and he said he was gone. And of course he ends up winning the race. But he said he just, he followed team orders. He did everything he was supposed to do. But he goes, man, he said that there's a few riders in Scott's history that, have done things on bikes that he said that he couldn't do. One was, he said when Freddie Spencer was on, he said he'd watch Freddie come off a corner when Freddie was on. And he's like, I don't know how to do that. He's like, I don't know how to do that's whatever he's doing. I don't know how to do that. He said Gobert was that way on the entry in the middle of the corner. He's just like, I don't understand what he's doing or how he's doing it, but he's getting it done. So yeah. And then the other story was, Scotty said that they were at Eastern Creek and Scott was finishing up his career on the Lucky Strike bike and Gobert was going to get the Lucky Strike bike after Scott.
Oh, wow.
So Gobert was there, but he was up on the hill partying. And so, cause he wasn't riding yet.
Well, of course.
And so, yeah. So Scott went up and saw him on Saturday night and he goes, dude, he was just, freaking wrecked. So after the race on Sunday, Scott goes up there to go, hey, I'll see you later, and Gobert goes, hey, I'm going to come down to the garage and meet all the guys. And Scott's like, dude, I don't think that's a good idea in your condition. So he goes, no, I'm going to do it. So Gobert grabs his car, goes down there, and everybody's packing up, right? It's the end of the GP. So Gobert goes to go in, and there's a car in front of him, and the car's not going at the speed that he wanted to go. So Gobert basically just started bumping him. He's just freaking bumping this guy through. Yeah, it just turns out it was like the president of HRC. So anyway,
yeah, good times.
Good times. So that was the only stories that
legend, man. Legend.
But yeah, he said he's super sad, but
yeah,
he says he probably would have. That's the only way he would have had it. So
yeah, I mean, I talked to his brother. I've been chatting with him quite a bit, and maybe when the smoke clears, maybe I'll get Aaron on the show.
Dude, that'd be awesome.
I mean, it was like, whoa, dude. Like, I don't even know what to do with that. And then Matt from Color Zone, as soon as my new helmet from KYT, because I got all my shit stolen. As soon as my new helmet from KYT comes in, I'm dropping it off at Color Zone, and he's gonna make me like a Go Show replica.
Oh, how cool would that be?
Is that nuts or what?
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
Yeah. So like when he was with Yamaha with the only thing I'm not going to have is the chrome shark fin on the back that everybody wanted in the late 90s. Right?
Yep.
You remember those stupid things?
Those are the only Gobert stories I have. But yeah. I mean, when you talk to a guy like Scott Russell, and Scott Russell's in awe of what the guy could do, it's just,
right.
I mean, absolute history.
Yeah, man. So that's the Go Show thing. And then, obviously, the MotoAmerica stuff. Let's go into that because, like,
dude,
I'm with the Attack Boys. We've been testing. I guess next week we're gonna test the second test at Podium Club. Hopefully, it doesn't rain on us. A few of the other teams are gonna join us. Apparently, I think the Altus Boys on their 750s are gonna come out, and then
nice.
And then I don't know. I think Bagger Bob will be there with the Roland Sands deal. So. It's,
I mean, what MotoAmerica is I'll tell you, it's funny. Something has definitely clicked in the MotoAmerica. What's happening with MotoAmerica? Because now, I mean, let's just start with Superbike, right? So Superbike.
Dude. So Westby's out, right?
Westby's out. Yep.
So nobody knows. I haven't heard anything about Skolty, like if he's getting a ride anywhere, if he's doing anything. Like I've heard lots of rumors. I've heard Scheibe. I've heard some kind of Honda thing. I heard a Bagger thing.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, that
Skolty on a Bagger, dude.
Well, with Superbike, right? Obviously, we got Jake and Cam P, and they're going to be the boys because they are the boys, right? No doubt about that. But then now we're looking at you've got obviously Bobier, and you got now JD
on a BMW.
and Yeah, JD's going to be a player. I mean, Cam B's
Yeah.
going to be a player. JD's going to be a player. That's all there is to it.
Yeah.
And don't forget, now we've got also SDK. And I
Yeah.
think
Dude, that Top Pro team is spending just legit dough, man. Like,
I let them get
right?
settled. Let
Yeah.
them get settled. I mean, between SDK, I think Toy's going back and working with SDK.
Oh,
I
is
mean,
he?
so I think
That's
so.
interesting. Okay.
So don't count them out. I think. I mean, SDK can ride a motorcycle, so
Yeah,
I
100%.
let them
100%.
come to grips with it. I think they'll be surprised. And now, of course, we've got Heron and Baz, right? So we've got Heron and
Yeah.
Baz, and that is going to be super interesting.
Dude,
So
that ties into one of the questions that we have too. I mean, Pinky's asking about like, what's up with Laura Baz going to that team? Because wasn't Forez supposed to be on a superbike with that team from winning the championship?
I don't. Yeah, I don't.
Like,
I'm not. I don't know.
shit's
I don't know
weird.
anything.
That is weird.
It is weird. There's something goofy. Yeah, there's obviously something we don't know about. Something goofy going on there. I mean,
Yeah.
the guy wanted to stay in the US for sure. And yeah, I know he had offers to ride in Europe. And maybe one of those offers was better than what he had here. But I also, there's the dynamic too of, I think Heron's portion's coming from HSBK, right? So that's
Right.
a US thing. But I think the second rider is Ducati driven. So I
Okay.
think Ducati has the say on that. So it could have been that
They want a
Ducati
guy
wanted
that can win.
there is that. Though,
This is
yeah, I
this
mean,
show,
I don't know.
right?
I'm definitely a Baz fan. I think it's going to be interesting, but the level of whining that's going to be going on there is going to be quite interesting.
Oh,
So
dude, yeah, like I'm sure the caliper grips, the grip caliper measurements are already being made. Um, dude, but Baz, that dude's a lunatic, man. Like we ran into him in Portugal when Jake did the wild card thing a couple years ago, and dude, he wouldn't shut the fuck up about wanting to come back because Road America
yeah,
got repaved. Like he was really excited about that. So, Baz definitely,
I
Baz
think
definitely is going to be a
Baz is going to be a player too. We did a
yeah.
track day. At Pittsburgh, and Baz was there. And like we were lining up to go out, and I was riding my 1,000 that day, and Baz goes, "I just freaking love this place." He was having a
Yeah,
great
dude.
time. So I think Baz is also going to be a player. So in some ways, we had like oh my gosh, here's Petrucci and all that. But I'm telling you, I think this year is going to be one of the biggest knife fights
Dude.
we've had.
And it's like every weekend it's gonna be a knife fight. I
Yep.
mean, it's like,
Yep.
you go into the season, the past couple of seasons, you didn't really know 100% who was gonna win. I mean, obviously, Blue Crew, I'm one of the guys, like I drink the Attack Yamaha Kool-Aid. I admit that, and I'm okay with that. But I tell you what, man, it seems like this year is shaking up like it could be really exciting because dude, any given weekend it could be. There's so many hitters. It could be any of those dudes on the front, right? I mean,
Yeah, I have my favorites for sure, but yeah, I don't want to know who's going to win. I want it to be a knife fight, and I want the
yeah,
best rider and the best team to win that day.
yeah, our
So
guys.
yeah,
But
yeah,
I mean, right?
it's
I
going to
mean,
be awesome.
there's a reason why there's a number one plate in a certain team for the last 4 years, right? So,
Yep. Oh yeah.
um, but I know CB wants it back, and you know, and JD seems really hungry. I mean, you saw what he did on the Yamaha this past
Oh
season.
yeah.
So,
Oh
I
yeah.
mean, that
I
dude.
again, I would not count any of those guys out.
What happened with JD too? Because like, how does a guy like that end up looking for a ride at the end of the season? That dude was winning races and stuff. Like, usually when you win races, you keep your ride, right? Like, or did he just not want to go dirt tracking anymore?
So
Or was the team over him? I don't even know. I don't know the politics on that.
I think honestly, I think there's a little bit of all of that in there where, I don't think I know the team wanted to go in a slightly different direction, and whether that was with or without JD. Yeah, I don't know the exact thing there, but I think the timing was right, and JD did what he needed to do in dirt track, but obviously he wanted to come back and do road racing. So the timing was good, but I think that they just changed directions a little bit. I think they were consolidating a little bit.
Yeah.
So bottom line is we got him back in road racing, and it's awesome.
Yeah, dude, I'm stoked to see it. I'm stoked to see SDK back. I mean, dude, I've been seeing Joe Roberts testing at Chuckwalla on
Yep.
his private R1. That'd be
Yep.
cool to have him come back and do
Yep.
something, you know? So, I mean,
Yeah,
that dude's a ripper
there's
too.
definitely so Superbike's going to be amazing, and
Yeah.
I mean let's talk a little bit about baggers. What in the hell,
Dude, Troy Herfoss.
Troy Horvath? I mean, that dude is a world supermoto champion, right? X Games,
Right.
medalist, and all the stuff that he's done in Australia. So for him to come ride baggers and hooligans, dude, he's not going to screw around.
Dude. I mean, it's like he's replaced the 60-year-old man, right? Like,
well, I think, yeah, isn't he's still riding, but I think it's on a different
right.
team.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah,
the
and there's
details of all
somebody
that,
mentioned,
but-
don't forget, I mean, honestly, if Richie's coming back, we don't know about Richie, and I know Posh is coming back. Dude, I mean, I gotta give Posh credit where credit is due. He had a lot more maturity this last year, and
yeah,
I hope that he comes along. And Richie, I've always been a Richie fan, and if Richie comes back, that'll also be a great program. So anyway,
dude, I had Posh on the show. I don't know, I don't know when I had him on. Honestly,
week ago,
I had him
2 weeks ago.
I had him recently.
Yeah,
I'm just gonna do that. I'm gonna say recently, and that dude was really putting out serial killer vibes, which is like good to have for a superbike guy, right? Like he's definitely matured, He's
big time.
he's come a long way from the kid that was riding the Paris Hilton bodywork bike,
Yeah, I mean, I hope he does well, and anyway, I think that they're going to have solid results this year. But back to baggers. I mean, yeah. I mean, holy crap, right?
Bagger Bob, dude.
He's already testing, right? Hayden and Rocco are already testing.
Rocco on a bagger, dude.
Rocco on a bagger.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, my whole deal with riding development is, a rider should be able to ride, any bike, any conditions, any track, anywhere, it doesn't matter, right? They should, if they've got the skills, they got the skills. And you look at a guys like a Hayden or a JD, and it doesn't matter what you put them on that's got two wheels, they're going to be very, very talented with it. And so Rocco's going to be in the same boat. I mean, honestly, Troy Horvath is going to be in the same boat too. The guy's just got crazy talent. So,
I mean, how many times did that dude win the Australia #1 plate? Multiple shit, right? Like,
yeah. And now he's coming to the US on a bagger and a super hooligans bike. So we'll talk about hooligans in just a second, but with the baggers thing, I think you're going to be surprised at the level of competition and how fast those guys are going to go. They went fast last year. I think they're going to go a lot faster this year.
Yeah. I mean, Bobby at the test a few weeks ago was going faster than a lot of the 600 guys, all of the 600 guys that were club racing there with CRA a year ago, but he did it on a bagger.
Yeah. And also, don't forget, also we got Ruben Zaus is going to be there as well.
848 Evo just commented.
Yeah. So there's
who's he going to ride for? Who's Zaus riding for?
I don't know. It's more of an independent team, but
because like Rocco and Hayden are on the Vance and Hines team, right?
Yeah. Terry Vance does not fuck around.
Dude, I was just going to say that.
Yeah. I mean,
I have more shit to say about that guy leading up,
I mean, look at back, and we were talking about Gobert, right? Look back at the Vance and Hines team then. When they do something, they're not here to screw around.
Right.
So, yeah, I again, baggers, I know some people can bag on baggers, but the bottom line is, dude, they're motorcycles. It's great competition. Not only is it good competition for the riders, it's good competition for research and development. And I think it's great. I mean, look what's happened with I haven't talked to him, but the post that Wyman just put up about, Harley just produced a model that's based on what they're doing. I mean,
win on Sunday, sell on Monday is coming back, maybe?
How cool is
You
that?
know,
I
I think
mean,
that's
I don't
awesome.
know. I'm jacked up about it. I think it's great.
Yeah.
I think the racing's going to be absolutely fantastic. So
Well, like, I'm kinda like, I'm wondering if Terry Vance has, like, ulterior motives because that dude, he was a big factor. He was like basically the factory Yamaha program in
yeah,
Superbike, what, in the 90s, right?
yep,
Late 80s or 90s. And
yeah.
then, like, is he tiptoeing back into the road racing through the baggers and he's gonna have a Superbike team eventually?
I don't know. I don't know,
That would
but
be awesome if he did.
it's bitching to see him there. It's bitching to
Yeah.
obviously it's also to see the team win. They're
Yeah.
investing in it obviously with Hayden and now having a Rocco in there. So
Yeah.
it's absolutely fantastic. So and one other thing, and we'll talk about this a little bit more later, it's the OEM involvement that we need.
Right.
That is
Right.
actually the key to so many different things in our sport. And having the OEMs in it and the OEMs battling each other, quite honestly, is one of the best things that we can have.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
wonderful.
Yeah. I mean, it's where all that money comes from.
Yep.
Because, like, I don't think Terry's whipping out the checkbook and paying for all that himself.
No, 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 definitely not. Um, Super Hooligans. So
Yeah.
now basically all these guys in baggers, except for a few of them, are going to be in hooligans as well. Hooligans is going to be even more of a knife fight. And the fact that they've let in some of the Triumph Triple in there,
Yeah.
that bike, to me, that is going to be the ripper of rippers if somebody develops that bike.
Yeah.
So, oh my gosh, yeah,
Is Debrino still doing that thing?
yeah, I know Debrino. So Debrino's gonna, I think he's gonna start the year on the 890, but now we've got the 990 coming out. So Andy's gonna be on the 990. His crew chief is Mark Price, who's one of my instructors. Also, by the way, Mark podiumed at Daytona on Super Hooligans. Right now,
Right.
he's Andy's crew chief. So I think you're going to see a major step up in Andy's program as well. So yeah, pretty
Yeah.
cool.
I'm kind of like, as you're talking to, I'm kind of glancing over at the comments coming in about different stuff. Um, Kirk Erlinger has some comments about baggers and bringing in new attendees, which means more money to buy t-shirts and crap.
Yep.
And then also he's saying that I think this is a question mark, but Uribe on a Honda Superbike. I haven't heard that.
I don't think,
I've seen
no, I think,
Uribe riding around an R1. I don't know if he's
yeah,
gonna
I
go
think he's on CW Moto's
1000.
R1.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think he's on CW Moto's R1, and I don't know if they're doing something or not. I'll have to ask Chris about that to see what's going on there. But I can almost guarantee that part of Hayden's program will be on a Honda. I think that Honda wants to dip their toes in it, and I'm confident that they understand it's a development year. So I
Right.
think Honda's going to be back in here, and it's going to be pretty cool.
Are they gonna do Superbike or what are they doing? Because I saw them, Trevor Watson wouldn't shut the fuck up about like the huge contingency money that Honda, the guy works for Honda, so of course he's got to let me know
Of
that
course.
it's Honda spending money. We used to joke about contingency stuff like that, like back in the day when like Continental tires would have like massive contingency money, and it's like,
Yeah.
yeah, that's a sweet press release, bro, but they're not gonna have to pay any of that out because nobody runs
Yeah.
Continentals.
Well,
Right?
and if you did win $400 in tire money, you spent 4,000 to get there. So
Yeah.
I get that.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah. So
yeah. Oh yeah. I just see it. Kirk. Yeah. Kurt, if you got a bottle of wine for me, I'll take it. I'm just drinking sparkling water and juice tonight. So sorry, that's pretty boring.
yeah, I just have the water.
Sparkling water and juice. So yeah, I think
agua con gas. Make it sound fancy.
so. I think that there will be Honda back. I'd be surprised if Honda did Superbike. I think that bike needs to be developed in stock 1000 form first, plus the budget's better. But who knows what they've got planned. But I think you're going to definitely see a Honda in there. And I think it's going to be a solo program, a solo Honda program. So that's about all I know about that.
Yeah. So maybe I don't know if I've seen a press release yet, but maybe that's why the Disrupt guys are selling all those Suzukis.
Yeah, it won't be, I don't think it's going to be with Disrupt, but we'll see.
No?
I don't think so.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
As the motorbike world turns, right?
Crazy. Hey, and
Yeah,
then let's not forget Supersport.
dude,
Dude,
Supersport's
what the
crazy.
hell happened?
Like
I
Altus,
mean,
like Altus used to race like every different class in the paddock. They had like 800 bikes in their tent, and now they've got 3, and they're all in the same class, all on the same bike.
it
So
yeah, I mean, the Altus thing is crazy. The Rahal deal, right? Look at the Rahal deal. Of course, you're going to have M4. M4 is going to, M4 is going to do their deal because they're so dominant. They're so dominant in that class.
right,
But I mean, it kind of, it's really funny because I'm knee deep in the super
they are
sport world.
dominant, except that they didn't win. The Ducati guy won.
Yeah, last couple of years, but
Yeah,
they still, when you look at podiums, I mean, it is impressive.
they do a lot of that. Yep.
It is impressive. But what's interesting is in super sport, we did a lot of like, just because I'm knee deep in this thing. When you look at super sport, a lot of the lap time, like the lap records, have not really been broken the last couple of years. Maybe here and there, new pavement or whatever. But the median lap time in super sport is so much faster, meaning that kind of 4th through 13th. I mean, they've gotten dramatically faster.
Right.
And now you're adding all these other guys into it. I mean, if you could get a top 10 in super sport, the bottom line is you're an effing stud. I mean, that's just crazy result. And
like
now,
right now, from who I'm seeing, obviously the Rahal team, right? Dude, it's hard to pick a winner besides PJ for the one plate. Like I'm already just throwing down the gauntlet. I'm throwing PJ out there. Like dude's a lunatic.
he's going to be very fast on that motorcycle. There's
Yeah.
no doubt. But again, M4 is going to have a couple players on that. You can look at, again, some of these other teams. I think to get a top 12 in super sport, you're going to have to be a stud.
Where's the tree trimmer? Where's the tree trimmers planning on finishing, or what's his goal for this season?
So, we've struggled a little bit. We haven't tested this year because the weather in Florida has been so crazy, but we're not focused on the actual finishing position. We're focused on a lap time improvement.
Okay.
If we get the lap time improvement, we're going to get the result.
Okay.
So we've got a pretty great testing protocol. Bikes have been to dynos, so we've got a lot of that figured out. So we're very optimistic. And the bottom line is, if we can go between a second to maybe 1.5 seconds faster every weekend, which I think we're more than capable of doing, the result's going to be there. So, and yeah, for CJ, the amount, it's mind blowing, the responsibility this guy has and all the aspects of his life. So to be able to do those things and to come and race a motorcycle at that level, dude, I don't know if I could do that. So very, very impressive.
Yeah. And then, the other Ducati team, obviously the other riders on the Rahal team, got Kayla.
Corey.
Yeah, Corey Alexander's doing something, but his has different stickers on it, right? Like
I think he's got the Chuck Walla group backing.
Right. Yeah. And his family business, right?
I don't know what I'm not going there. I don't know what that is.
Well, no, doesn't his family have that big dealership that sells Ducatis?
Oh, I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know the background, but look at another one is going to be, Ty Scott. If Ty Scott, honestly, he needs to win the championship this year. If he's going to go to the next step, he has to win the championship this year. So, yeah, I think
those guys better come out swinging, because everybody else is.
Dude, it's going to be a knife fight everywhere.
Yeah, man.
So, yeah. So,
and then I keep hearing that the old man's coming back to Supersport too. So.
Oh, I'm sure.
Yeah, the geezer, number 4.
He is. I'm sure he is.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it'll be interesting to see because, I know that they've got some of those homologated cylinder heads. It's going to see interesting to see all of that, how that works as a package.
Yeah.
And see if the R6 got it. We did. I will say that we did do, we sent one of our guys to Italy to school for the Medtronic stuff. And that was incredible, a really good investment to see how all that program works. And we Craig spent a bunch of time at the dyno with Medtronic and those bikes. And yeah, I got to tell you, the 750 is not a slow motorcycle.
What? Like,
Yeah, they're
you mean they're the old saying about, replacement for displacement. No replacement for displacement is true
yeah.
then,
Let's
pretty
just
much.
say that I loved our R6. I love that bike. It was one of the sweetest motorcycles to ride. But the bottom line is, yeah, there's no you can't get there from here. So we'll see how
Yeah.
it goes. But anyway, there you go.
Yeah, that class is weird. It's gonna be weird while it's in this, like, transitional phase from the old 600, it's gonna be a few
Yep,
years before it's, like, right,
yep,
I think,
yep.
because it's gonna be like a constant, turning up the knob on any given
I,
bike, right?
yeah,
Or are they gonna
I
do a
think
better
there's
job at it?
so I think there's going to be some interesting things going on. This is just my own personal perspective, but
Yeah,
I think that there's going to be some things with super hooligans. I think when you look at super hooligans, that really is the class that of the bikes that people are buying. And now that they're bringing some of the triples into that, I think ultimately super hooligans is going to be the new super sport class at some point. It sort of makes
say
sense.
it ain't so.
I
Like,
know, but
is that like I mean, is that like an unfortunate reality? It seems like people are talking about it. I don't know if it's true, but because I don't see that kind of numbers. I'm just a dumb, motorbike guy that rides them. You know what I mean?
well, so
But
so
like,
my
are the naked bikes selling much better than the sporties?
oh, they're just punching them in the face.
Yeah,
Yeah. So the thing
because
is
people are
that
pussies now. Like, there's some of that too.
when you look at non 1000 cc motorcycles, the new gen class is appropriate. It is absolutely appropriate for that sort of genre of motorcycle. So yeah, and of course they have to balance it. But
Right,
if we want to get back to the old super sport with OEM involvement,
right,
that's going to come from the bikes that are being sold, like in
right.
mass quantity. And that
Yeah.
goes back to, I think, the super hooligan type of environment. So yeah, I think the next 4 to 5 years are going to I think the next 4 or 5 years are going to be pretty interesting with that.
Yeah, so, Irate Barry says he's still 5-1 when it comes to naked bikes, so I guess he's saying he sells 5 naked bikes to 1 sport bike, or the other way
I
around, I'm
mean,
not sure.
it would I'm sure it would have to be 5 to 1, but
Yeah,
yeah, I think that again, the super sport current super sport class is appropriate for what we have, right? It is, and
yeah,
yes, they have to balance them. But if we're going to see OEM involvement, it's going to come from the bikes that are being sold, and that's the
right,
class that it's going to be. So
right. Well, I mean, there's a lot of bikes being sold, that run the twins class, right? But that class is like a super bike class. Like, it's
it is, yeah, it is. I mean, it is a builder's class for sure, and of course,
yeah.
but we still have some very very talented riders that are going to be in there. That's also going to be another great class to watch. But
Is M4 gonna, or, like, I guess there's that new Suzuki 800 people are talking
yep,
about, like, Kirk Early, the wine guy, right? That's the wine guy?
yeah, yep.
Yeah, so the wine guy's asking about the 800, and I'm guessing, Irate Barry says Team Hammer, like, are
Yeah, I mean, in my
usually those
opinion,
guys.
Team Hammer has to do it. When you think about it, they have to do it. I mean, because the factory is going to want somebody to prepare a bike and prepare it correctly. Team Hammer is going to do a great job with it,
Yeah,
and they want to showcase that bike. So yeah, I think that bike has to be out there, and I'm sure those guys will do a great job with it.
the SV, is it an SV 800? Is that what it is now?
It's a completely different motorcycle. It
Jeez.
is, yeah, completely different motorcycle. So yeah,
Okay.
I think it's a parallel twin. I'm
Or
sure it's
they
a
call it
parallel
a
twin.
GSV,
I don't know what the hell they call it, but
GSXV?
I don't know. I don't
I
know,
don't
but
know. I don't pay attention to
I'm sure
anything
it'll
but
be good.
our bikes, like, I ride the blue ones. So,
What else we
yeah.
got, Dustin? I'm still jacked up. What do we got?
Okay, so we talked about all the MotoAmerica stuff. We didn't really mention Junior Cup. We haven't been watching it anyway, so at least I haven't. Like, I haven't paid attention to that. But we have a bunch of other stuff. So, I in our comments, we were talking about learning a new track, and I posted a video a couple days ago of the boys at the test at Podium Club and what their methodology was behind learning a new racetrack, and it was kind of shocking because I thought they'd have their track map out or play a video game or
No,
something, and
none
no,
of that.
they're just
None of
like,
that surprised me.
yeah, like Bagger Bob was like, yeah, dude, the first quarter's left. I know that. So
And then after that, he's like, I have no effing idea what I'm doing.
yeah, dude.
Yeah. It's interesting. I mean, it's funny because I did watch it. Those are awesome, by the way. I love
Thank
those
you.
little bites, but I think those are great.
Yeah, I'm
So
doing this whole thing where I walk
nobody's
around.
doing it.
Yeah,
No
I
one's
walk
doing
around the
that shit.
camera, talk to it, like whatever.
It's freaking great. It's freaking great. So Cam P's response, I mean, I've worked with Cam P for a couple of years, and that doesn't surprise me, right? He's he's saying the right things. He's how he gets his vision going, how he's looking at apexes.
Yeah.
I mean, that makes perfect sense to me.
Right.
And he's got some methodology. Jake was like, yeah, I don't know. I call bullshit on that. Jake knows exactly what he's doing.
If you listen to what Jake said, though, he's like, yeah, I figure out, I try to remember which way's left and right. And he's like, yeah, and then I pick up some brake markers and.
Yeah, no, dude,
He had that place dialed under the lap record in 5 laps.
Yeah, I mean, so exactly. He's nonchalant about it, but it's bullshit. He absolutely knows what he's doing. He wouldn't go to Europe for so long and learn all those tracks in Europe and be quick.
Right.
He knows exactly what he's doing, and he's got a process for it for sure. Bobby's is the old Scott Russell, just, well, I go out there and I just kind of send it and it works,
Yeah.
Which it worked for Scott back in the day, and for Bobby, it is working. But anyway.
It was pretty funny to hear him say that too. I was like, get the fuck out of here. Really? Like, what, dude? Like, how are you this good and you don't know what the fuck you're doing? Like, what?
So. Yeah, well, there's answers to that, right? So the answers to that, learning a new track. I mean, I have methodology for that because I'm not Cam P. You're not Jake Gagne, right? So us mere mortals have to have a process, have to have a process to learn. So there is a process to learn a new track for sure. And the way we look at that is, we establish exits first, the types of corners first, vital points first. And then there's a process. There's definitely a process, for that. I think that those guys, I would be surprised if they weren't up to speed in 5 or 6 laps. And the reason that they're doing this is sort of people don't talk about it enough. It's a big part of my program, which is what we call feel references. Right. Jake knows what the bike should feel like when the fork is compressed. He knows what a good exit feels like. He knows what a good slow point is. It doesn't matter where you put it, right? Because he has those feel references. Yeah. So that's the thing. They have automatic feel references, and that's what Bobby has. Bobby's so good that he knows what, when the bike's, coming off a corner correctly, when he gets it right, he knows what brake pressure at turn-ins right. He's just replicating feel references in a new environment. Right. That's all.
Yeah. And Bobby, I guess, is doing that bagger thing and the Superbike thing again, I guess, with the ADR. I guess he's going to ride that R1. I think he's even doing the Daytona 200 on a 750 too.
Dude, he's going to be so freaking fast. It's awesome.
Yeah, he always is. Like that dude. Mm-hmm. And he's been at it for a long time, so it's good that he's got a couple of good rides, and I saw our buddy, my buddy used to be, Mr. Ward.
Oh, Robert. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. So Rob was out there at the test and, I was like, hey, what's up, man? Oh shit. I didn't know you were coming, or I would have brought some hay bales to knock you into, that kind of thing. Like that's going to be like my thing.
You should have taken him shooting.
Dude, he was busy working.
Oh, I'm sure he was busy working, but
dude, Richard was the same way. Richard's like, dude. And no, it was just me and Roland with Jason Citron out there. He took us out there.
Right on.
It's fun. It's fun. But there's just that stuff's weird. The classes are weird, all that. So I don't know. Okay. So learning a new track, that's one thing. And then the other thing is this is something that people talk about a lot, and I'm sure you have like a dissertation on it. And it's like, why do you think there's the U.S. struggles to get riders into Europe? You know, why aren't there Americans at GP anymore?
Yeah, I mean, we literally could spend all night talking about this. It's funny because
In here, let me insert the old floppy of the TED Talk.
yeah, no, I'll try to be semi short on this, but
Okay,
so yeah, sorry, I talk a lot. So
not as
well,
much as Nick
I
Einach.
talk a lot. I
Okay.
talk a lot in motorsports. I don't talk much about anything else because I don't know jack shit about anything else. So yeah, it's interesting, and it starts off with the U.S. is not Europe, right? Where our geography is completely different, our demographics are completely different, our orders of interest are completely different. And there's a pretty good article that came out with ESPN, which was I thought really cool, and I'm actually working on a little bit of a response to that, just
Really?
kind of a reaction to it. Yeah, it's kind of, no,
Okay.
it's a good thing, but it's a kind of a reaction to that article. So for ESPN to pick something like that, I think is really cool, and I think we need to expand on that. But yeah, we're not Europe. We need to talk about that first. The bikes that we
Right.
sell here, are not the bikes that are being sold in Europe, right? Everything's completely different, right? We have production based versus prototype based.
Right.
So the issues that we have with our the issues that we have, oh my God, there's so many of them. But
I
where it
mean, is
really
it
stems from,
cost of entry?
it's time and money. Yeah, it's time and money is what it boils down to, which is a lame
Right.
answer. But to break it down is back when the Kenny Roberts days were like Kenny or Freddie, they had two things going for them. One, there wasn't organized training in Spain, and there wasn't organized training in Italy at that time, right? There was just dudes
Right.
riding motorcycles. And we had those guys riding dirt track. They were badass at riding dirt track. So the cost of entry was very low for those guys. So we could find good riders.
Right.
That combined with OEM involvement, right? So, I mean, how do you think Kenny Roberts got to Europe? How do you think Freddie got to Europe? They had their
Right.
manufacturers backing them to get them there. And that's the money part that we don't have right now. The system, to skip way far ahead, the system we have now only vets who's riding well. In other words, if you look at Junior Cup,
Right.
all we're getting is who's placing well, and who's winning. But we don't have anything past that. There's no
Mm.
mechanism in place. Look at Rocco. Rocco
Yeah.
won, dude. He won 3 championships in 2 years. I
Yeah.
mean, how freaking badass is that? And the guy can't get a ride. He can't even get Supersport sponsorship. So
Right.
we have a mechanism that figures the riders out, but we don't have a mechanism that takes them through to get them to Europe. And that system in Europe, I mean, it's a 5 to 6 year process. 5 to 6 years process for that to start happening. So I think we're just not set up to that. We're set up to find out who's fast, but we're not set up to get them. It's the get ready to get ready. We don't have any of that process that takes them to Europe. And without the OEMs or big money, it's just not gonna happen.
Right.
So
I mean,
yeah.
I'm going to use Christian Daniel as an example. He moved his son Christian Daniel Jr.
Yep.
And their whole family to Spain. And dude, that kid is thriving over there. I think he's like, was he like 13 now, 14, maybe? Does that sound right? And dude, that kid rides almost every day.
Of
Like
course.
they have this whole training thing. And the kid, he's gone. I think he went like the Metra Kit thing, and then went up to like he's like Junior Moto 3. I mean, the dude he's bad, dude. He's
Well,
bad.
but
So
that's how but that's how it is, right? I mean, these academies that they have there, what they're doing is, think about this. Here in the US, you're driving to get coffee on freaking Saturday morning, and you see all these soccer fields, and you see all, this sports.
right,
That's what motorcycle racing is in Europe, right? So
right,
when we see these, or not only we have organizations, but organizations that have a way to take people through the system. That's
right,
what they have in Europe for motorcycles, or Spain and Italy for motorcycles. And yeah, if you're going to be riding every day, and you're also getting involved with the total process. So you're riding prototype type of bikes. If you're not riding a supermoto or something, you're working with a coach. you're working with a crew chief, right? You're going through the whole system. So you're building somebody that's a complete motorcycle rider, not just a dude who won a junior cup championship. And now what the F do you do, right? There's no
Right.
training past that. So yeah, if somebody can have the time and the money to go in Europe and get entrenched in that system, that's what it's going to take.
Yeah, I mean, he's over there, the Daniels, they're over there, and it's like they have like basically GP coaches for these kids. I
Yes,
mean,
correct.
it's like, and I want to say, they do the circles, the back and forth, or they actually set it up to where it's on the straight, and they got to go and basically do a circle on the straight or a figure eight or something, and then keep going. So, I mean, the kid really has to go like knee down from whatever they were going on the straightaway. Then they sit up and it's like bing, bing, bing. And then they make a couple of
Yep.
loops or whatever. And they keep
Yeah,
going.
I
It's
mean,
gnarly. It's
yeah,
gnarly.
but that's it's proper. See, it's proper deliberate training, right? So it's
Right.
organized. It's organized deliberate training. It's no different than you sending your kid to soccer and they're going to go. What do? They go to soccer practice, right? They go to baseball practice. It's no different. That it's the same principle that we have here, but over there, yeah, you're riding a motorcycle.
Yeah. I mean, 848's Evo is talking about it's like, yeah, that's how stick and ball sports are doing it here. Yeah. I don't know. I don't do stick and ball
Exactly.
sports anymore. It's been a long time. I've
But
been
yeah,
racing
that's
motorcycles
exactly.
longer than I ever did any ball sport.
So yeah, so in the US, that's why we have to embrace sort of what our environment is, right? We have to embrace our geography, we have to embrace our demographic, and we have to embrace what bikes are being sold here. If we
Yeah.
want, remember, we want successful motorcycle racing.
Right.
Do I want super bikes? F yeah, I want super
Yeah,
bikes. That's
dude.
the coolest thing in the world.
Right.
But if at some point, if it's, well, would you rather have a full gigantic budget for baggers, or would you rather not ride? So some people would not rather ride, but
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, at least people aren't talking about electric bikes anymore, like they were.
oh my God, I'm not going there. Not going there.
Wow,
Anyway.
wow, I got you. Got under
Well,
the
no,
skin a
I
little
mean,
bit.
I think electric bikes, I mean, that's a whole nother development path. I mean, you saw what Stefano
Oh
obviously
yeah,
did something on that.
yeah,
But
totally.
yeah, I mean, but honestly, if that was really going somewhere big, we'd see more impact from the Moto E series, and we're not really
Right.
seeing it. Honestly, the Moto E series seems to be a gigantic fuck shop. So I don't know what I mean. Until
Yeah,
that gets going, it's not going to trickle back. It's not going to trickle down. So
yeah, yeah. I mean, the thing is, it goes back to sales too. Like nobody's buying those things. Like, I mean, I saw some online reviewers posting them about them a while ago, and it was like they were running out of range in like 60 miles or something. I mean, I don't know if it's gotten better, but it probably has,
don't
but
know. Yeah,
I don't know. Not interested. Not
I'm not.
I like
Yeah, I'm
I
not
like
super interested.
motorbikes that like make noise and stuff, you
Yeah, but
know.
to sum it up, I mean, the US, we're just not there yet. We're identifying who's fast, but we're not in a position to take them to that next step. And yeah, we've
Yeah.
got some people over there that are entrenched in the system, right? You look at, I mean, if you look at like STK was definitely
Yeah.
involved in that for quite a long time. Joe
Yeah.
Roberts is entrenched in that, and
Oh,
that's what
for
it
sure.
takes. It takes a lot of time and in money to be invested into that system. Then you can see if you're going to go somewhere.
Right. And there's a commenter here, what Hames YouTube says that Max Toth is talking about Max Toth and SDK training like that since they were very young, and they learned from Lorenzo's dad, like Jorge Lorenzo's dad.
Yep.
I've heard about that, right? Like, yeah, that's been a
Yeah,
thing.
I've seen some things. I mean, you need to be really careful with this, and I'm definitely you definitely need to be careful. Like minis is part of the equation. Minis is
Right.
not the total equation. Now,
Right.
minis is accessible though, right? So just like we talk about the stick and ball shit, minis is accessible. You can go to a parking lot, you can go to a go-kart track and get a lot done, but it's not just sitting around going in circles dragging your knee. That is a very
Right.
small part of the whole picture.
Yeah.
So anyway,
Well, I mean, okay, so going back to the Daniels to go to the track. I mean, it's literally like they have all these tracks within
Yeah,
under an hour.
dude,
And
it's like,
where our tracks are like in the middle of fucking nowhere.
yeah,
You got to
correct.
drive 3 hours or whatever out of town to get to them because, there might be a neighbor that gets butthurt of the noise of the racetrack.
Oh, really? We can talk about that as well. Yeah,
Yeah.
we can talk about.
Yeah.
Anyway,
The rich
so,
assholes in
so
Monterey. But yeah.
all right, we'll talk about. So anyway, to finish up on that is, yeah, I mean, the bottom line is until we've got people that are willing to invest the time and the money in sending people over there to get entrenched in their system, we're not going to get there. I mean, we're just not set up for that yet. And even if we went to a prototype junior cup type of a prototype thing here, to me, that doesn't mean anything. It just shows you can win on a prototype bike, but it still doesn't get them to that system. So,
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Rant over.
Yeah. TED Talk.
Sorry. Yeah. So
Dude,
I
you
will.
get fired up about it. You get fired up about it. And it makes sense. I mean, it's if there's not really a path for the American kids to get over there and do that kind of thing, it's never going to happen. They're
Correct.
not drawing from Superbike anymore to go to GP either. Doesn't seem like.
I mean, no, I mean, again,
they used to.
Again, look at the look at the Rocco path, right? I mean, here's a guy that, I mean, he just there was nothing available for him. And then you can go extreme and look at like Josh Herrin, right? No one says that Josh Herrin can't ride a motorcycle. The guy's insanely talented and fast. But when he got thrust to an environment that had to have, deliberate processes and basically being a real professional motorcycle racer, he got punched in the face. It didn't mean that he couldn't do it. It just, there wasn't a system in place for him to do it. Right. So that's my deal, is that they're big into rider development and we're not. That's the bottom line.
That's because we're too busy eating Cheetos, talking about how we won whatever game.
Right? Well, anyway. All right. So we're going to talk about Highway 68 Coalition.
Let's talk about that prick and that calls himself a coalition. What's something Weaver? I don't know what his real name. I keep hearing that it's just one dude. It's not really it sounds like it's this huge group of neighbors or whatever, but it's like, from what I understand, people are saying it's like one dude. And let's buy a house knowing it's like near a racetrack somewhere. And then, you know what? Even though the racetrack's been there for 50 something years, 70 years, and I was aware of the racetrack being there before I bought the place. You know what? I'm just going to go and whine to the county every day about the noise that comes from the racetrack. So,
yeah, I'm moving here because I didn't like there. But now that I'm here, I want here to be like there.
Right.
Just, yeah. It's funny that the Laguna thing seems to go in cycles.
Right.
And I mean, you've been involved with it enough. It seems like every 8 to 10 years we get into this deal, because I mean, the last few years weren't that bad, actually. I mean,
dude, I like it.
I know.
Yeah.
But it seems to go in these cycles. And I remember back when, we started doing the Yamaha school got founded, when we started doing some schools at Laguna, that we actually met with Jill Campbell, right?
Yeah.
And she talked to us a lot about that Highway 68 coalition and how they manipulate the county. They're ruthless. They're horrible. They use the county's policies.
Let's just be real. Let's not call this dude they. It's one dude.
Yeah. She just called it the Highway 68 coalition, but they basically are manipulating the county using their own policies. And it is brutal. It is definitely brutal. But it seems to go, like I said, in cycles. Right. I don't know. I think the county has so much now invested, of course, with the repaved buildings.
Yeah.
They're not going to.
The local economy and
of course.
Yeah. I mean, the local economy there is a pretty depressed area, really, outside of rich assholes like this Mr. whatever the fuck his name is from the 68 coalition. But, it's been an issue for a long time. I mean, that dude used to come and I don't know if he probably still does. Like every Monday morning, he would go and get the weekly sound reports and pick them up, and then he would make like a scene or whatever at the at the meetings, the county, whatever. And, obviously they don't want to hear that. And, they tried to accommodate this prick, but the reality is, there's no accommodating, because eventually, like, his whole goal isn't to make less noise. It's to make the racetrack go away. And,
Correct. Yeah, that's
I
correct.
say, fuck that guy. So,
Yeah, it's rough, and it's exactly what he does. He picks up the weekly sound reports,
right.
and then if it's a 92 decibel day, he'll be like, "Oh, look, see, you guys did under 92, so we should make it 90." Or if
Right.
it's over 92, then he'll bust your balls because it's over 92. It's a complete
Right.
no-win.
I mean, it got
No
it, and
situation.
Laguna, the county has been very accommodating to this jerk. They've done a lot of 90 decibel days. Just a heads up, like the semi trucks going down Highway 68 are actually making more noise than the motorcycles on the race, or cars or whatever on the racetrack
Anything.
during
Yeah,
the day.
anything.
And like the racetrack doesn't operate at night; it operates during business hours. Like, you're gonna hear your neighbor mowing the lawn. You're gonna, like, does he shut the neighbor's lawnmower off too? Because just guess what, the lawnmower is louder. The ding
I think
on its microwave is louder.
I think this is going to be one of those cycles where this comes out of the woodwork every 8 to 10 years. You have to put up with it for a year. The county's going to do a little something, and then it's just going to cycle back out. That's sort of how it's been. But yeah, you got to play nice until then. It sucks.
Yeah, I gotta find out what this guy looks like and make a T-shirt with his face on it.
There you go. I mean,
Maybe
if
I'll
he wants
sell,
to,
dude. Maybe I could sell like targets that we could like put
well,
out at
what you need to look,
the range.
is whatever the county, the track is, go find their county, board of supervisors meetings. They'll be televised, and they'll be able to do them.
Yeah.
You'll be able to sit out there, and anyway, there you go.
There's somebody that says that there's somebody on I think it was on Facebook maybe, or Instagram, but they know the guy and they know the guy's address and everything. And I've made up, I'm making a T-shirt that I'm gonna sell pretty soon. And they're like, yeah, dude, as soon as you get those T-shirts, I'll give you the guy's address and you got to send him one. And it basically
Oh,
says fuck the Highway 68 coalition, with like a 68
there you
sign with a
go.
circle and a
There you
line
go.
through it.
There you
But
go.
yeah, that would be pretty funny to like go find out where that guy lives and do a giant burnout in his driveway or something. That'd be pretty sweet. But yeah, that's just making more mad and whatever. So I don't know. How do you
Well,
deal with a guy like that? Like,
you don't no, you can't, unfortunately. I mean, no matter, and that's what I was saying, is either side of the argument, he's going to have something for you. So no, there's actually no dealing with somebody like this.
right,
There's no way. So
right.
the best thing to do is get on the county side, try to be a good participant. And that's all you can do. And
Yeah,
I mean, the bottom line is money talks, right? And so if
right,
you're renting the track, that's money talks, and the county's not going to take away their investment of all the stuff that they just put into it. It's not going to happen.
right, right. I mean, the reality is, Laguna is such a great place to ride. I mean, it's like
Freaking
we put
awesome.
up with the sound shit and all the little rules. And it got bad. I'm sure this prick was involved in the reason why this policy was in place. But it's like Laguna at some point was like, look, if you get this many violations throughout a day, we're just going to shut your day down.
I've been there where they have shut it down, and they said, everybody gets one more chance, and then you guys are done for the day. So
that guy was probably the same guy that was with the telescopic lens during the COVID stuff, sending photos to the county of people that may not be wearing masks in the paddock. Like, that's this guy. Like, he's a
okay.
real winner. So
Yeah.
but you know what, man, I look, the current management there that's been running the place has been really receptive to us as motorbike people. And they offer you days, and they offer me days, right? And I'm like, yeah, can I pay a little bit more and have a little bit more sound restriction? And they're like, how much you want? And I'm like, this much. And they're like, okay. And it's been great, because before, Jill was always like, nope.
Yeah, no. She was, even when we did Yamaha
Hard
schools,
no.
we had to
Hard
limit
no.
we had to limit at Yamaha schools with the people back then. And we were there during one of those cycles where
Yeah.
the sound was the problem. And even stock R6s then were blowing the meter.
Yeah.
And so we were having to put a chicane in there and do all this stuff. So
I had
it
a
was rough.
stock I had a stock FZ1 pop sound there. And I'm like, "What, dude?"
Wow. They're pretty quiet. Oh,
I'm like,
wow.
"That thing sounded like a sewing machine, man.
Pretty
Come
much.
on now." And, I mean, it's, when we get the 105 days there, like on my R1, I can go and do wheelies past the sound guy, Like, I still gotta pay a sound guy. Like, it's such ridiculous. Like, it's like $400 you gotta pay
Yeah,
per day to have 2 sound people there.
correct.
It's like you wanna sneak out and duct tape the sound thing, so to pick up anything. But,
Well,
yeah.
anyway. All right.
Yeah.
What's next? What's
Okay.
next? We have so
Okay,
much.
so we talked about the racing stuff. We've talked about all that other stuff. Dude, what's this masterclass thing that you've been, like, bragging about online?
Yeah, I mean, so I've been bragging about it. So the
I'm just giving you
masterclass
shit, man.
So the masterclass thing's pretty interesting. It's how do we get more training out there for everybody, but also get it at a reasonable cost? But
Right.
more importantly, how do we train instructors as well? And so
Okay.
what I've done, and I've been doing this type of an environment for 10 or 15 years, it's just we're trying to make it a little bit more official, and we're trying to get partners with some track day companies to do it. So what we're trying to do, or what we're putting together, is what we call a master class of my fundamentals. So we put together a 2-day program. It's 45 minutes in the classroom. It's 45 minutes on track. So you do a 45-minute lecture. And so not only are we introducing a knowledge objective topic to you, but when you go and ride, we're giving you the objectives with the report cards to go do something, whether it's bike placement, brake adjustability, vision, all those different things. So we've got lectures for each one of those. And then when you go out on track, you're going to go work on those with specific report cards. The nice thing is that your instructors, and typically it's a 3-1, 4-1 instructor ratio. Your instructor's sitting in the classroom with you. So you're getting the same instructors throughout the day, and you're going to ride with them. They're learning just as much as you're learning, but they're also able to take they're able to take these things and help individualize you with them.
Right.
And then we'll come in. So basically we're going through all the fundamentals of whatever it's bike placement, vision, brake adjustability, turn-in rate, body position. We're taking all those things and we're doing them. And we're trying to make it so it's a much more affordable and accessible way. It's not a $99 school, but it's also not a $3,500 school. These are $1,100, $1,200 for 2 days, limited to 18 to 20 students in each group. And we're handpicking instructors at each one of these days. So, and part of it is that the track day companies that I'm getting involved with, they've got to have, it's mandatory instructor training, and we're also mandatory masterclass documents. So when the student leaves, he's going to leave with about a 30-page document that has all of the lectures that we did. They're going to leave with that as well. So is it one-on-one coaching at a Destin Coiner track days? No, it's not. But also it's a way for you to get introduced to these fundamentals, individualize them, and do them in a low-cost environment. So you're paying, again, $11.99 or $12.99 for 2 days and a massive amount of track time, right? You're getting whatever it is, 6 or 7 45-minute sessions. You're getting coaching, you're getting, lunch and all that stuff. So we're trying to make getting professional coaching with a pathway to get better more accessible for people, where they don't have to spend the $3,500 to go to the schools. It seems that all cost that much now. So
you said you're training instructors too. So like, are you basically like tuning up the track day dudes, like core instructor base, or like how?
So here's the problem, right? Is we have no consensus of what's right or wrong in it. You do, right? You've been in it long enough. You've been also and had some training, right? So you get it. So well, you get it, right? So
totally.
I mean, you understand that if a guy's off his apex, you're like, hey, look, dude, I don't give a shit about your body position because you're off your freaking apex. You need to fix that first, right? So what we're trying to do is we're trying to kill 2 birds with 1 stone, which is to get instructors on the same page, talking about the same thing. So no matter what instructor you can go to, you're going to get the right language in the right order of the fundamental. And that is a little bit of my mission, and to do it in a way that's affordable.
So you mean body position is not number one?
Unless it's so bad that it's holding you back from all the other 5 fundamentals, no, body position is not number one.
Okay. I'll be using that for Instagram reel later.
Yeah, body position is not number one.
Oh my
Yeah,
God,
I mean,
dude. Yeah.
I get jacked up on this shit, as you can tell, but
yeah,
I mean, we have such a great sport, and the consequences are so high if we get it wrong, and we just have not developed this consistent way of training. So this is my way of going, okay, what can we do to get, I mean, I would love to put together like the perfect one-on-one environment, rent the track, and it's just us. Yeah, it's going to cost you $5,000 a day for a student to do that.
More than that.
Or more.
Yeah.
So how do we put together an environment that takes you through the fundamentals, you get white paper, and you get instructor training, right? That's what we're trying to do.
So have you looked at my schedule, and maybe we could do something with the TrackDaz events?
Great, let's do it.
All right.
I'll look at your schedule.
I know a guy at TrackDaz that could work on that with you.
I'm in. I'm in.
Yeah. Okay. So going back on that, like there's actually a couple of questions I got from people before the show started. And Brian Green, he's I think he's like a Pacific Northwest guy or NorCal, or I don't know. Sorry, Brian, if I forgot.
I recognize
he does like he does like corner working stuff with AFM and like whatever. But he says to ask you what the path for somebody to take if they're interested in being, number one, a rider coach, and if there are things out there that could help besides the obvious track time. What do you think? I have a take too, because like I get that shit all the time.
Yeah, so that's exactly the problem, right? Is that, I mean, we don't have really good systems to put together training for instructors or coaches or whatever you want to put them. And when I look back at my, and I want to use this word. I'm going to use this word because it's accurate. Well, my career, but I basically interned at Freddie Spencer's, right? I spent 7 years with Freddie Spencer, 7.
Yeah.
5 of those were basically being an intern, meaning I paid for my flight. I didn't get paid to be there. And I had to take in what they had. So I spent 5 years interning at the Freddie Spencer School to be able to do those things. And I had a choice. I could have just, been like, bro, this is cool. Or instead I could have, figured this shit out.
Yeah.
And I chose to figure this shit out. So we're missing that type of opportunity. So if somebody wants a pathway for that, my recommendation is to get hooked up with a track day organization that is professional, that's been around a long time, and will allow you to literally, you start out there, the first thing you're going to set cones out in the morning, and then you're going to tech bikes, and then you're going to have to go through the system.
Yeah.
That's this whole thing of I'm showing up at the track and I expect to get paid $500 a day to be a coach is, and I mean, again, I'm going to get jacked up about it because of all the shit that I've seen. We can talk about rear braking a little bit too. So anyway,
it's on my list, bro. It's on my list.
So
we're a little over an hour in already, bro. Like,
God damn it, I talk a lot. So so the way to do it is, you got to put your time in. That's all there is to it. So think about it, interning at a place that has a professional atmosphere, that has proper policies and procedures. And that's basically how you do it.
Dude, I'm living that, bro. Like,
I know.
I've got a list. I've got a list of like 4 or 5 guys right now, and a female as well. You probably know her, but I've got a bunch of people helping out right now, and it's like, dude, you got to come out, and it's like we make you kick cones around, tech bikes, all the customer interaction stuff. And then also we give them shit. Like we're like, it's brutal, man. Like I don't want to call it hazing, but I mean, it's like because if they can't interact with each other and they can't take that, they're not going to be able to handle an irate customer. You know what I mean? So there's a lot of that stuff. And then, but yeah, the writing stuff, like for my program anyway, like to be a staff dude or whatever, there's a lot of racers and amateur club racers that are like, how do I become how do I become a control rider? And I made this meme about 10 years ago that basically, you know, it was like the change my mind thing. It's like control riders are D-bags. And it's true, man. Like everybody that calls themselves a control rider, I mean, first of all, like, come on, bro. Like, really? But you know what I mean? So it's like, you know, you're calling yourself a control rider. What does that mean, dude? So
Well,
like
so I sold my half of track time when I was at track time in the
yeah,
Pacific Northwest, and now I'm able to concentrate more on my writing and doing things like this because I want to be able to do some of these masterclass programs.
yeah,
And there's a massive difference between being able to spout out catchphrases
right.
and then teach. They're two
Yeah,
completely different things.
right.
So being able to teach and being able to individualize that for somebody, yeah, it's really, really hard.
Yeah.
And that's what we're missing. So
Yeah. Yeah,
I don't want to
100%.
be one of these guys that's teaching catchphrases. I don't want to be one of these guys that I want somebody. The way that I look at it is a lot of these curriculums that you see
The 10
they're actually
steps of cornering. Step 1. And then you're like, what
well,
if I forgot step 4?
a lot. Yeah. I mean, a lot of these things, I got to plug my freaking laptop in here. Hang on. A lot of these things are written, when you think about it, they're written for the instructor. They're not written
Right.
for the student. And my goal is the student should not have to conform to the instructor. The instructor should conform to what the student
Right.
needs.
Well, because not everybody's the same.
It's that simple. So learning how to teach is something. So
Yeah.
I mean, that's part of, again, my sort of hidden agenda with the master classes, to be able
Yeah.
to provide an environment where you're getting individualism and we're able to work with instructors as well. So
Right.
yeah, anyway, again, so real quick, I'll sidebar here is, I mean, I designed a program for instructor training. I have 6 guides that have training, and out of the 6 guides, 2 of them are instructor training. The problem is to teach somebody to be an instructor like you would. I mean, nobody's going to pay for it, right? So,
Dude,
I mean,
I got the Nick Einach jump in the lake and hope you swim school of instructor school.
Yeah. So, yeah,
right?
Yeah.
Dude, how long did I go out there and kick fucking cones around?
But so that's
I
it.
to ride.
I mean, I did the same thing. Obviously, I did the same thing with Nick at the Freddy School, right? And it was either,
right.
you know, you sit down and you go, okay, God, I'm blessed to be in this environment. How the F do I figure it out? And basically, I was stupid enough to come back for 5 years on my own dime to figure it out. And I mean, the opportunity that those guys gave me, I can't thank them enough. But
right.
We just don't have that type of environment, nor do people believe in this internship thing anymore. They just are entitled and they want to get fucking paid to do it. So
yeah. Well, tires back then weren't $500 a set either.
Yeah.
There is that, right?
Anyway.
But yeah, like, I mean, you know, it's not that hard though. I mean, if you want it, go take it. You know what I mean? Ask questions. You know, I will tell you this. If you come up and you're asking to be like an instructor or a control rider, typically the answer is no. Just throwing it out there.
Yep.
Right? Like automatic.
Yeah, I mean, you got to put your time in. That's all there is to it.
Right.
I mean, you got to put your time in. So,
yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah. Okay. So other
that's the master. That's a long thing on the master class, but that's the goal of the master class.
Yeah, and that kind of ties up with what Brian. That I hope that answers Brian's question, right? The other one is from your wine buddy. He said bringing up the topic of arm position, corner entry and mid corner, your arm position, because we've talked about that a little bit, right?
Yep.
Like, because it used to be you'd get in there and you'd kind of like have your outside arm, like your forearm, like chilling on the tank, and that's not so much what you're teaching anymore. So you've evolved the curriculum a bit.
So things have changed in MotoGP, especially the last 5 years, and even in World Superbike. So where are the big advances in lap time coming from? They're coming from the entry. And if we want to have more grip, we need to be more upright. So if you watch MotoGP, and especially if you even, or World Superbike, or even MotoAmerica, we're more upright until the brake is released. We're quite upright until the brake is released. And we're doing that because we need, if we're more upright, the bike can be more upright. We've got more front contact patch and we can have more ability to brake.
More leg dangle time.
Yeah, or leg dangle time. So or rear brake. Here we go. So
yeah.
So if you watch the transition from when they release the brake to the middle of the corner to the exit, upper body's becoming it's a much more deliberate move. So what we're looking for is, as you enter the corner and as you go to release the brake, we want to be able to relax our inside arm because we want the bike to continue to steer. So if your inside arm is tight, then the bike's not going to steer anymore. So once we've released the brake, essentially, so in other words, we want to finish our finish direction. We've got to have weight off of our inside arms that doesn't impede the steering head from moving or the bike's center of gravity changing.
Right.
So that's the short answer to it.
Well, there you go. And I'm it's like, I don't know. It's just something that evolve. Like riding is never going to stay the same. The bikes change, the tires change, right? Like you kind of got to adjust. You got to ride the bike the way it needs to be ridden.
Yeah. So that's, I think that was one of the big things that I took away from the Freddie school and took away from Nick and the Yamaha school is we want to teach what the best in the world are doing, right? The majority what the best in the world are doing. But remember, that's dynamic. That's not fixed. So what they're doing 10 years ago versus 5 years ago versus this year is all going to have some differences. So that's why when we say we're going to do what the best in the world is doing, is because that's an evolution every single year. So that's why we study that and ask the questions.
So what worked 5 years ago may not work now, but it'll still work, but maybe it won't be like pointy end work,
Yeah, correct. Yeah, you can get away with a lot of stuff until it really
you don't.
Matters. Yeah, until it really
you get away with a lot until you don't.
Yeah, correct.
Yeah, we know all about that too, right? I'm getting some comments, dude. Ralph Starapoli's like, "Hey, can I be instructor?" I think he's talking to you, not me. Right?
Sure. Yeah. Come talk to me.
Ralph Starapoli, dude, that guy's been around. He was like a 250 GP guy back in the day.
Right on.
I think he still does the ARMA thing. He probably still has that old 250 still.
Right on.
I'm sure he's fast.
That's what I was to say. I'm sure he's super freaking quick. So
yeah, he's always been fast.
All right, what else we got?
Okay. So let's talk about a subject that's kind of broke the internet the last few weeks. It's the rear brake. Like, do you use it? Do you not use it? Like, how do you use it? When to use it?
Fucking rear brake. So, all right. Well, let me start this off. Let me start it off with a story, because where this rear brake thing came from is important. So the story I'm going to start off is in 2019 when we had Hayden and Nick McFadden on the Rick team. We're at Barber, and we come in, I think, from Q1, and we're doing downloads. We did a separate download with each rider, and I was in each one of the downloads. So we come in and Nick says, "Hey, my corner speed's low. I got to pick up my corner speed." And we're like, "Okay, cool. Like that'll help us look at some of the data." So we look at the data and I'm like, I don't see what you're seeing. Like, where do you think your corner speed's low? And so he's like, "Well, actually it was this guy that's hanging out with my dad in turn 2 said I looked slow through turn 2." And so the point is, not everyone deserves a fucking opinion. So if they haven't, if they haven't earned the ability to know what is right or wrong, or trained at a level that is trained riders at a high level, then guess what? They don't deserve an opinion. So that's number one. The second one is when you look at the rear brake for us mere mortals, right? It really is a it's a personal thing. Some of us have grown up with rear brake. Other people have not grown up with rear brake.
Some
Whether
of
you're
us
not
use T handles. Some of us like to stick with ratchets.
so rear brake up
I mean,
until I mean, there's guys that are on MotoAmerica podiums that are not using a rear brake, right? I mean, that's the reality of it. I mean,
yeah,
okay, let's look at a couple of big examples. Let's look at Jake and Cam Pete.
right.
So
Both of which do not have a rear brake lever on the foot. They have a
that's
hand
right.
brake, right?
That's right. So, but when you look at Jake used too much rear brake, correct?
Jake was dragging the rear brake. Same thing with JD, dragging it down the
Oh,
straightaway.
trust me. Oh no, trust me. With JD,
Bro.
we had specific drills that he couldn't use the rear brake. It's like,
Yeah.
no. So I get it, right? I've worked with JD enough. I know. And yeah, he doesn't even know he's using it half the time.
The rear
So,
disc would be glowing.
oh God. So, I mean, so that there's actually a story. There's a story on that as well. But look at Cam Pete. Cam Pete was at a point where he wasn't using the rear brake and he needed that little extra something. So the bottom line is the rear brake for us at really up to say 98.5% of what motorcycles are capable of.
Right.
If you don't use the rear brake, it's not going to make any difference
Right.
for you. It's not. It's the joke I say is like on a list of 100 things, the rear brake's like 93. Now, I'm not saying that there aren't circumstances where it can or cannot help. I'm not saying never use it. I'm saying, like, for instance, if I'm riding my FC1, guess what? I'm using the rear brake. If I'm doing 2-up, guess what? I'm using the rear brake.
Yeah.
If I've got a bike that has a weird setup, maybe the front is too soft, guess what? I'm using the rear brake. I need to tighten my line 3/4 of the way through a carousel. Guess what? I'm using the rear brake. So it's an additional tool for the type of riding I'm doing. Now, okay, that's the second part. When you get into the very sharp end, then you're looking at, say, MotoGP, MotoAmerica, all that. Absolutely. Is it a tool to be used for performance advantage? 100%. Absolutely. And it's something that has to be used and has to be trained for. So yeah, I think the three things are: one, yeah, there's people that don't deserve an opinion because they haven't earned the opinion or they don't understand what it's about.
Right.
Two, the rear brake can be a great tool, but it's not the fix all. It's not every corner, every situation. It's for particular situations. And yeah, it absolutely can work for particular situations. And then the last one is at the very sharp end, not the 1%, but the last 0.1%. Does it make a difference? Absolutely does. Whether it's finishing direction, whether it's weight transfer, there's a whole bunch of reasons for it. So
Right.
yeah,
I mean,
it's funny.
some of the old school guys were using it like as a rudimentary TC, right? They'd come up over a rise and claim that they would drag the. I couldn't do it.
So nowadays with electronics on bikes nowadays, if you're riding a BMW 1000 or an R1 and you're dragging the rear brake to stop a wheelie, your electronics fucked up.
You need a new electronics guy.
Yeah, your electronics guy fucking sucks. That's the problem, right? I mean, it's silly. But anyway, yeah. So yeah, the rear brake thing, it's a great tool. It absolutely is a fantastic tool. But again, for 98.5% of us, it is number 93 on our list of 100.
Right. I mean, look, I ride. I on the R1 race bike, I never touched the rear brake, like ever. And then, but while I'm 2-up, and I give probably more 2-ups than just about anybody in this country, I'm guessing. I like way over 200 a year, and I use the rear brake a ton. Like I use it a shitload. And the reason why is because when you got another 200 and some pound dude on the back or a chick or whatever,
I know.
It's like, dude, the bike won't stop. Like it's not slowing down.
Yeah, or transfers weight so crazy that you just gotta slow things down and things down quite a bit. So yeah, again, it's a wonderful tool. There's a time and a place for it, but it's not something where it's something that needs to be understood, and it's something that needs to be trained for. So there you go.
There you go. So like, there's so much chatter. It's like, man, I avoided
remember,
that.
It starts with who the
deserves
fuck are
it?
you listening to, right? So if they don't deserve an opinion, then shut the fuck up.
Wow.
Sorry.
Okay.
The reason I get jacked up about it is because this is a consequence bearing sport, right? This is not,
Yeah.
this is, this is not, I mean, could you imagine like, oh dude, I rolled a gutter ball. Sorry, there's a tib fib. I mean, it's just, no, this has got consequences. So when I see something wrong, I'm going to call it out.
Yeah. Moto Prospector says the keyboard warriors, the keyboard coaches, everybody's a coach now, right? Like just read the internet. Everybody's a coach.
Yep.
Here, if I posted a picture of me, guarantee you, like, first thing they're gonna be like, body position's wrong, this and that, whatever. And I'm like, bro, I'm faster than most of you. First of all, second of all, who broke their back? Me. Like, my shit doesn't work right, so I got to deal with whatever I got to deal with. Somebody's calling out Moto Jitsu, and I'm like, what, dude? I don't know that dude much. I've seen him around.
I'm so locked into my world that I don't really, I do listen to some other things, but I don't spend a lot of time with it.
I've seen that dude out at the champ school,
Oh, that's cool. Yeah.
I saw it. I rode with him a little bit.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. I don't know anything about that dude, but yeah, somebody called his name, but, or his online name, whatever his name is.
No.
There's a lot of coaches out there though. The bottom line is, like, you got to be careful.
Yeah, and it goes back to, man,
where does the advice go? Careful who you listen to, right? I mean, there's a lot of bad advice out there.
Yeah, it's advice versus technique, right? Advice is an opinion. Right. Advice is an opinion. It's not proven methodology. There's a big difference.
Yeah.
So anyway,
Castanos is saying that Chris Ulrich is the 2-up king. I guarantee you he's using a rear brake on that thing too.
Yeah.
Chris Ulrich's 2-up rides are not what we're doing it for. Like, Chris does it it's like, he's getting journalists to, like, take a look at what it's like to be a superbike racer, right? Like, so he's out there, like, basically making them shit their pants. Like, that's his job, right? Like,
I think it's a super important role. And I've actually subbed 100%. I've subbed for Chris at some of those days when Chris couldn't make it or had surgery or something. That was back a few years ago. But yeah, I mean, Chris is doing a great job. And I think it's incredibly important. And when I give a 2-up ride, it's for education. Chris is doing it, to your point, to give them an experience. My job is education. And I don't know. I mean, I've backed off of my 2-up rides last couple of years, but I mean, I don't remember. I think I did all the ones at Freddie's. Freddie had turned me over to do all the 2-ups because there's a whole story behind that. But yeah, I mean, I don't know how many thousands I have, but yeah.
Do you know how honored I was when Nick Einach pulled me aside and was like, DC, you got it. And I'm like, what?
Yeah.
So he's like, I know you, DC, so knock the wheelies off and all that. Yeah. I'm like, okay. Yes, sir.
Yeah.
But yeah, like the honor of being that guy for Nick, dude, it was like, I went from kicking cones.
It's huge. Yeah, right? It's huge. It's huge.
Yeah. So
yeah, it's a big deal.
Yeah. So anyway, but dude, we're like,
are we done? No. What else we got?
We're like almost an hour and a half, but dude, there's like a bunch of stuff. Raising money for air fence. That's what Chris does it for as well. Somebody, A48 Evo said Nicky Hayden overheated the rear brake on the Ducati MotoGP bike. That seems crazy to me.
Yeah, there was actually a story when Nicky won the AMA Superbike Championship on the RC51. There was a story going around that this goes back to OEM involvement. Where did Nicky's pathway go from AMA Superbike? Correct.
Honda.
Right. But that's OEM. This goes back to what we were talking about development.
Right.
But basically the people came over and they looked at his RC51 and they saw this dirt bike rear brake caliper on his RC51. And they said, yeah, you don't get that anymore. So if you watch that year, you'll see where Nicky stopped backing the bike in as much.
Right.
because he realized that you don't get to use the rear brake like that on a MotoGP bike. So they actually, at one point during that season, made a change for him.
Yeah. Okay. How about this question? This is also from 848 Evo. Is it bad when a control rider crashes on the outlap in front of you?
It's not good. It's not good. Yeah,
Yeah.
that is not good. And yeah, I mean, it's just part of being a professional, and it's just part of doing the right thing. So yeah, the bottom line is, yeah, that is not good. That's not a good thing.
And then Kirk, the wine dude. Sorry,
Yep,
Kirk, if I'm just calling you the wine dude. Um,
his wine's good.
he said that what about an unnamed pro rider that complained that he couldn't, quote, teach his customer base because the customer couldn't keep up with them? What the fuck? That's not teaching or instructing. Like what is
Yeah,
that?
I
I don't
mean,
know who
again,
that is, but what is that?
so I mean, but the bottom line is, I know exactly what he's talking about. But the idea is, right, this is, the student is, the student shouldn't conform to the instructor, right, to the coach should conform to what the student needs. And if they're not in a position to do that, then they don't know what the F they're doing.
Right.
And it goes back to a real teacher can teach somebody that's never ridden, or teach somebody at the last 1%. That's what it should be. And if they can't, I mean, we get this all the time. It's like, oh,
Dude, you
dude,
sent me one of those guys.
I don't want.
Like,
Yeah, that's true.
you
But
sent me a guy like
correct.
last year. You sent me a
Yeah,
guy, and you're like, "Hey, man,
and he
this
did
dude that's
parking lot
never ridden
stuff.
before. Can you like work with him in the parking lot and then in the same day have him
Yeah,
out on track?" I was like, "Done."
correct. Yeah, but that's the idea, right? If you can't
Yeah.
teach that guy, then you don't have any business teaching the other people.
Right.
And this is why sometimes you're like, oh, dude, I don't want to work with the slow people, or when I was at the Freddie and Yamaha schools, I always got the new groups the first day. And honestly, I wanted that, right? Because I wanted to figure out I wanted to figure this out. So I wanted those people. And then we'd swap. The next day I'd get the fast guys. And
Right.
that's how you get good, is to have that variance of everything. So
Right.
yeah, you should be able to do both.
Well, that's easier said than done, right? But I
Yeah.
mean, I think this is something that you said to me when I first started working at the Champ School, and you were still. I think you were babysitting Mazziato. I'm just gonna throw that out there. He
Probably.
did. He didn't go to Red Bull. My guy did, but whatever. That's water to the bridge. Water to the bridge, right?
Yep.
No, but you said, and I wrote it down. I still remember it. It's like a mantra almost. It's like, if you truly understand something, you should be able to explain it in a way that your mom could understand.
That's correct. Yeah,
I was
that's
like,
correct.
dude, that's stuck with me. What
Yeah.
has that been? 10 years?
Yeah. Yeah, and it's true. It's true. So I mean, there's a lot of different. I've got a lot of stories on that, but yeah, the bottom line is, that's exactly right. You should be able to have it distilled down, internalize it, distill it down to where you can be able to explain it in a couple of sentences to your mom. That's how it should be.
Right.
So
And then here's one. Chris McCreary asked it earlier, but he was like, what are your thoughts on like a smaller, like a supermoto type of thing on a go-kart track for training? Because there is kind of a lower cost of entry there.
yep.
Was like $30 to $50 depending on where you go.
I think they're great. Yeah, I think they're great. I've done schools, actually. I've done supermoto schools, or schools at a kart track. Yeah, they absolutely work great. And I think that is a fantastic way to do it. I think it's the cost of entry is wonderful.
Right.
Yeah, I'm a massive fan of that. I've got clients. I've got clients that are taking their Ninja 400s or whatever to go-kart tracks and riding. I mean, we look at their data, we look at their video, we look at all that. So I think it's a wonderful way to do it.
It is cheap too. I mean, dude, I've been out at that Apex track. It's been a minute. I got to get the supermoto out and ride some more. But dude, I've seen people out there on like 600s and like R1s on Apex track. That little tiny go-kart. I'm like, bro, you're gonna end up in the Legos.
I've seen that as well. Yes, it's nuts.
Yeah. So don't recommend that.
I absolutely recommend. I mean, the kart track is great. One, the lap the lap is really short, right? So you get a lot of laps in, you get to run, so you get a lot of reps in, you get to work on stuff.
Right.
Cost of entry is low. The big thing is your brain's not overwhelmed with gigantic speed. It's a fantastic way to train. Yeah, I'm a huge fan.
There you go. All right. Well, dude, there's like, let's see if there's more. There's a lot of questions, but it's like we answered a lot of stuff as people were asking, even though we didn't name them. Let's see here. Yeah, about stock bike, whatever. Sending the guy's shirt. That's really funny. Yeah, more training stuff. Same thing. Yeah, I mean, I think we've covered it, dude. Like,
yeah, it's a lot.
I mean, dude, we had a kind of a makeshift list, but not really in no order.
Yeah, I think, yeah, I mean, I know, God, I get jacked up over these things. I love doing these. These are super fun.
Man.
And I mean, just to have kind of a very unscripted way of talking, I would have killed for this environment back in the day. There just wasn't anything like this. Yeah. And I mean, so hopefully people can check out the masterclass stuff at some point. I mean, it's going to be a fun environment. I am doing a lot more in my Substack. So if you just go to my website, you'll see it's khcoaching.com. It's a Substack. It's free. So if you want, there are some paid things, but it's super inexpensive. I've got a lot of fun articles on there. Hey, have you seen my underrated or overrated series? Have you seen those?
I've seen some of them. I've actually commented and talked shit a little bit. Like,
yes, hey, they're hilarious. They're hilarious.
Yeah,
they're great. I have a blast doing them, and they're super fun.
Like, so overrated, underrated wheelies.
Wheelies completely underrated. They're so freaking awesome.
They're so important.
Wheelies. Everybody should learn how to wheelie. It's like yeah, they're just absolutely amazing. Wheelies completely underrated.
Wheelies are like the best part of motorbiking if you know how to do them.
Oh my God.
And if not, you suck. Like, basically, right? Oh man. Anyway, all right, man. Right. Well, dude, good show, yeah?
All right. Yep. Thanks, everyone.
Yeah, man. Thanks for watching, you guys. Like, subscribe, share, comment, all that. Thanks.
A whole bit. Yep.
Cool.